Thank you, Alex, and thank you so much for this forum and for the Homer Public Library. I really appreciate this outreach. It does a great deal of good for us to be able to help to educate the voters. You did mention my crew here at the Kenai Peninsula Borough, and I just want everybody to recognize that I have an amazing team, and I could not do anything that I do without my team. I appreciate the fact that you are recognizing and bringing highlights to the October election, because of the fact that during general election years, when the state is also conducting their election, they have their primary, they have their general election, and often the local elections get overshadowed by those things. So I really appreciate this forum. Election day for the Kenai Peninsula Borough is October 6th. And that is the first Tuesday in October that we conduct our elections, and that is on an annual basis. Right now we have absentee in-person voting that is taking place throughout the borough. We have two offices in Homer, one at the Homer maintenance building there on Pioneer, and like you mentioned, Tamron has the ballots for all the locations around her. Anchor Point, Diamond Ridge, Seldovia, Kachemak Bay, Homer 1, Homer 2, Kachemak City, Fritz, and Fox River precincts. She has ballots for all of those. We also have work with the Homer City Clerk, and she has ballots for Homer 1 and Homer 2 precincts. So we have two locations in that area for people to be able to vote absentee in person. We also have this year done an absentee ballot application campaign, and that was in response to COVID and the funding that we received through the CARES Act funding. We were able to mail out 48,697 absentee ballot application packages to registered voters within the Kenai Peninsula Borough. That number does not represent all of the registered voters in the Kenai Peninsula Borough, because we did not mail applications to the voters who already live in designated by mail precincts. And around you, that would be Seldovia Kachemak Bay precinct and Fox River precinct. Those are designated as permanent absentee by mail precincts within the Kenai Peninsula Borough. So in response, we received 2,310 of those back as undeliverable, and we received, to date, we have received 3,373 absentee ballot applications, and I would say the majority of those are to have the ballot mailed to them. Faxing is also available. We have received 503 voted ballot packages back in this office, which have been transferred to our Canvas review board, which we have 8 people working this year on that board. Typically we would have 6, but because of the increased volume, we have 8. In a normal year, we would have between 300 and 400 absentee ballot applications. And so as you can see, that number being more like 3,400 this year, we've had our work cut out for us. My team has been working evenings, weekends, to get those ballot packages, to get all those applications processed, and to get those ballot packages out in the mail. And the majority of those have already been mailed out. We have a small handful, I think less than 200, that'll be mailed out this Friday. So the deadline for having an application to have a ballot mailed to you is next Tuesday, September 29th. And after that, if you're still needing to have a ballot because you're not going to be able to make it to the polls or to a polling location or a vote center, you can have a ballot faxed to you, and that deadline is October 5th. Of course, we will still have polling locations open on election day per our normal standard. So we would have 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day in all of the normal locations, with some exceptions. And unfortunately, because of COVID, there are 9 exceptions throughout the borough. In your area, you would normally be at the Senior Center. This year, you're at the Homer United Methodist Church. So that is the only change that you have in that area. We have provided personal protective equipment for our election workers and for the voters. So you will see a station as you walk into the polling location that has gloves, masks, hand sanitizers, and we've also worked with the DHSS to get some of their signage, and so we also will have signage that was not requiring masks, but recommending masks, and also 6-foot social distancing. So some of the other things that I think are really important is that people recognize the fact that if they're going to have their ballot mailed, it needs to be postmarked on or before Election Day, and we need to have received it in this office prior to the Canvass Board certifying the election. Certification is done on the following Tuesday after the election at the assembly meeting, so we need to make sure that people are prompt about getting those ballots actually mailed to us, postmarked on or before Election Day, or put into one of the drop boxes, or delivered to one of the absentee voting stations, or even a polling site on Election Day. So there's many ways. The other thing that the Kenai Peninsula Borough does, which is I think different than some of the other locations, is that we pay for your return postage. So it is no postage is required when you put that ballot in the mail. And we've, I think, tried really hard to make it pretty easy. So we have an easy as 1, 2, 3 campaign. And basically it's 1 is provide us an identifier. 2 is to sign your envelope. And 3 is to have it witnessed. So if those 3 things are accomplished, more than likely there will be no issues with your ballot as long as it is received on time. And the other question that has been coming up is, if I am having a ballot mailed to me and my husband, can we witness each other's signature? And the answer is yes, you can witness each other's signature. If you don't have anybody in your location that can help you or can witness that signature for you, you can take it to, again, an absentee voting station or a polling location and have an election worker witness that for you. I'm kind of looking at my notes, and I'm really grateful that you plugged the voter pamphlet, because the voter pamphlet is something that we work really, really hard on in this office. It is a little over 100 pages this year. I think it's 108 pages this year, and it does have all the information that is required throughout the entire borough. So there's a ton of information in here, and again, it is on our website. And it is also, there's a link on the Facebook account, and we've been trying to put as much information out there as possible about the Facebook, or about the voter pamphlet on Facebook, and we've been highlighting different aspects of what's in this book per assembly resolution. So we've had spotlights, and so the first spotlight was on the mayor's race. The second spotlight is on the assembly races, on the propositions, and then we're also going to do one on the assembly races, on the school board races, and then on the service area races. And like you did indicate, all the service area races within your area are running unopposed, as well as your assembly race. I think I've covered it. I think I've got my 10 minutes in, and I am prepared to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for that excellent presentation. This is a 10-minute presentation, or sorry, a 10-minute question and answer session available. If you would like to ask any questions at this point, feel free to type them into the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. You can also go to your participant's screen and raise your hand if you would like to be unmuted and ask a question in person.
And Dave, could you put up the slides for how to get in touch with Johni and Melissa and the potential questions we already have? Thank you.
There you go.
Another thing we've done this year is, we've created the branding, the KPB Votes, and you can see kind of on the guy behind me that has the KPB Votes. We also have buttons. We also have but we've included a phone number, which is 714-VOTE. So that makes it pretty simple. We've put that, I think, everywhere in the voter pamphlet, as well as on our online information, to make things a little easier for folks and try to help them to understand the difference between the state of Alaska's elections and the Kenai Peninsula Borough's elections. So we're hoping that that branding of KPB Votes will follow through and help people to recognize the fact that we conduct an election every year.
Thank you. We do have one question from an attendee. Tricia, please go ahead. I think you will have to unmute yourself.
There we go. Do you have me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you. I wasn't very fast with my pencil, so I didn't get the numbers written down. But I was wondering if you could repeat the numbers of ballots, requests that you sent out, how many came back, and I guess that's what I would like to know right now. The effectiveness of mailing out vast numbers like that. You mailed out 42,000 ballot requests.
We mailed out 48,697 absentee ballot application packages.
Okay.
We so far to date have received both online and through the paper application and through fax. We have received and processed 3,373. And we have mailed out, as far as ballot packages that have been mailed as of today, was 2,597.
Okay, good. Good, thank you.
It has been a very productive campaign, and we may have, to some degree, underestimated how popular it would be.
Do you, the numbers of requests and stuff, is that up from the numbers of absentee ballots that you normally send out?
Yes, in a typical year, it'd be between 300 and 400. So
Okay.
the fact that we're looking at, by the time we're all said and done, probably between 3,000 and 4,000. Just depends on what comes in between now and September 29th.
Good, thank you.
Johnny, can I ask a quick question?
Of course, Alex.
So I had a question. I'm at the library today because my internet connection was bad at home, but one of the librarians came and said, you know, Alex, I just got my borough ballot. But he said, I also applied for the city of Homer and I didn't get that one yet. He said, what's up with that? So there's your question.
So it's two different jurisdictions. So we have worked with the cities to allow voters to apply online or through the paper application for both their borough ballot and their city ballot. But because it's handled by two different jurisdictions, the borough handles their portion of the ballot, and we've been mailing ours out on Fridays, and then we provide that information to the city clerks, and then they have been sending those out. And I'm not really sure what their timing has been, but it's coming out of two different offices. It's been really a very nice collaborative effort, though, to be able to allow voters to just apply in one location.
Thank you. We do have a question in the chat box. Is there any way to track my ballot when I have mailed it or know if it's been received?
So yes, if you applied online and you provided an email address, then when your ballot is received, you will get an email notification that says that your ballot has been received by the Kenai Peninsula Borough. I'm fairly certain you'll also get one when it's mailed out. If you applied through a paper application, we are tracking that information, and all you would have to do is give us a call at 714-VOTE, and we would be happy to look that up for you.
Johnny, I have another question, and it's number 5 on the slides.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can address common mistakes voters might make when they return their absentee ballot.
So I would say the number one is that they forget to sign the envelope that the ballot is in. And we've often seen it where folks have said, maybe to their spouse, hey, can you witness my signature and I'll sign it later, or something like that, and then they forget to actually sign it. So what we're doing right now, what the Canvas board is doing, is when that happens and we find one where somebody forgot to sign it, or they forgot to have it witnessed, or they forgot to provide us with an identifier, we are contacting that voter and asking them to help us cure that situation prior to certification of the election. So we're working with the Canvas board to verify that that voter, let that voter know what the problem is and try to solve it. So if they can remember easy as 1, 2, 3, they should be able to get it done.
Great, thank you. Another question in the chat box. Can I drop my ballot off at Homer City Hall, or must I drop it off at the borough office?
You can drop it off at Homer City Hall.
And just a plug there, and Johnny, you could probably answer this too. We have a drop-off box in front of City Hall. And is that good enough to drop our borough ballots in there too?
So I have not clarified that with Melissa, but like I said before, we are a pretty strong collaborative team. And if I was to receive one of her ballots, I can guarantee she would get it, and I'm sure it's vice versa. We also have a ballot drop box here at the borough in the back parking lot, and that has worked beautifully. And we have also gotten in that box ballots from the city of Soldotna, and of course we will make sure that the city gets those. So all of us clerks in the Kenai Peninsula Borough are working together. We collaborate very well, and yes, I can pretty much guarantee that we will make sure everybody gets the proper ballots.
That's great, thank you.